So we know that Sophie came out yesterday she came out with some evidence, shall we say, to accuse Rob of being physical towards her. Or at least throwing items at her head, which therefore we resulted in seeing an image of her looking like her eye had been cut from one of the objects that Rob had allegedly thrown at her. But also on top of that, we also, read that Sophie was talking about how Rob is also gay, or he cheated on her with her man. Well, here's the thing. Seems to me as if Rob was having a conversation with 90 Day Fiancé Update, and this is what he had to say. First thing I will say is I've never hit a woman in my life. Not ever. I'm also not gay at all. That's 2025. It's 2025. I wouldn't need to hide it, and I'd be a lot more successful in Hollywood if I were. Trust me, because it's just not me. I don't know why he's talking about Hollywood, because, bro, you're on 90 Day Fiancé. Can somebody tell me when 90 Day Fiancé ever walked the red carpet? Or was ever on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? I'm a bit confused with that one. Sorry, but I found that one quite interesting. But anyway, we continue. Lastly, I've openly apologized to Sophie in front of the world for being mean. Well, this is her recording me being me. Disregard that my wife was clubbing and not coming home for weeks. Disregard that I only ever asked her for consideration around the house. I blame myself for everything when she finally moved out officially. And I've tried to fix it. I shouldn't have ever gotten angry, but anger in response to the wild disrespect was all it ever was. Never physical. Ever. Never physical. Oh my bad, okay, let's continue. I also never threw any of her stuff away. The table I threw away was my table, and she said it was ugly and it made the apartment feel like a man cave. So I got frustrated and threw it. Right as she tried to act surprised that I was throwing it, I let myself get frustrated with her. Rob needs to clearly work on these frustrations, because he's now spoken about anger once in the video, as well as frustrations. So this is something clearly he needs to work on. We continue. He also says our season on Happily Ever After was filmed after all of this. I knew I was wrong for the ways I treated her. That's why I put up with much to try and make it up to her. But this, in response to having one receipt for an accusation, is just wrong. I mean, listen, right now there is definitely a split kind of conversation going on regarding whether people want to believe Sophie or if people want to believe Rob. Me, myself in particular, I'm somebody that follows patterns. And I just feel like when it comes to Sophie, she has had a pattern of where she will behave a certain type of way depending on how it fits her narrative. That's just a pattern that I have, noticed when it comes to Sophie. When it comes to Rob, on the other hand, he also has his own pattern. He has a pattern where he likes to come on social media randomly and make points about how a man should be treated, blah, 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 which, to be honest with you, has never really made much sense, because he always says it without context. Now, I will say this though. It is strongly known that anybody that has been in a domestic relationship, that the person who is being abused generally does not say anything. They stay quiet for a very long time, and they also are notoriously known for protecting the abuser as well. So there is also that part too. Obviously, there are layers to this where we can obviously strip the conversation and look at it in terms of, do we believe Sophie? Do we believe Rob? I mean, listen, people even ask good questions such as, why is it Sophie is comfortable enough to come online to, show us an image of her face being scratched by an alleged item thrown her by Rob, but yet doesn't have the confidence to go to the authorities? I mean, for me, myself in particular, I simply asked the question of how comes it was okay to ring the authorities to send her mum into jail or prison, whatever, but it's not the same for Rob. Is it because it's not as easy when it comes to somebody who is actually abusing you? Because they do say that if you report the person that's abusing you and the police do not believe you or any of that stuff, it can easily make it worse for yourself. But then at the same time, I also sit and I say, well, if you're not going to expose these things online, what's the difference? Because of course, online doesn't give you the same protection the police would if the police was to believe you, but you'd still put yourself in a position where you've now exposed this person, and this person is now in a position to either walk away from you or to make things worse for you. There were just so many different things to look at, you know what I mean? But of course, you know, I cannot say whether or not my opinion is right or wrong, nor can I say whether your opinion is right or wrong. But what I can say is that Rob and Sophie, you know, it is clear as day that they need to go separate ways. They need to cut off any ties, and they need to not communicate ever again, because this is not good. Okay, this is something that is extremely unhealthy for us to report on, to watch, you know, and clearly it's extremely unhealthy for both parties involved, because we're now in a conversation of he say, she say. Now, I will say this though, despite the fact that Rob did respond, and obviously he has had his say here, the only other thing is that I was going to say that he's responded with no evidence, but then again, what evidence did he need to actually bring to the table? To be fair with you, there is that conversation, isn't there? I guess it's just a matter of deciding what we want to believe. For me, I really don't know. I really don't know, because a lot of the things that Sophie does just doesn't really add up for me to want to sit and say, you know what, I 1000% believe her. But at the same time, with Rob, this guy has got so many freaking anger issues and whatnot, and because he's got anger issues, it's just not, I can't sit and say, you know what, I believe him, despite the fact that he's got clear issues with his temper, you know, which isn't a healthy thing in any shape or form. All right. Now, with that being said, I will be making a video soon regarding what happened in the most recent episode with Sophie and Rob on The Last Resort. So please do stay tuned to check out that video amongst other videos as well. But as far as I'm concerned, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section and we'll talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, peace.